You are currently acting out a script written by people who are terrified of life, and if you don't burn that script right now, you will wake up at 40 in a comfortable house with a dead soul. I want to talk to the part of you that is currently screaming underwater. You know the part I'm talking about? It's that quiet, persistent voice in the back of your head that wakes up with you every morning. You look at your life, your decent job, your university degree, your reasonable relationship, your 5-year plan, and you feel absolutely nothing. Or worse, you feel a kind of heavy, gray suffocation. You are doing everything right. You checked all the boxes. You were the good student. You are the promising young professional. You are making your parents proud. You are posting the right photos on Instagram, showing everyone how much fun and progress you are experiencing. But if we cut the crap for 1 second, if we turn off the lights and sit in the dark, you know the truth. You are bored out of your mind. And you are terrified. You are terrified because you suspect that this path you are on, this golden highway to success, is actually a circle. You are terrified that you are working incredibly hard to build a life that you don't even want. You feel like you are waiting for your life to actually start, like everything you are. Doing right now is just the rehearsal, the warm-up act. I have some bad news for you, and I have some good news. The bad news is that this isn't a rehearsal. This is it. You are burning your prime years, your highest energy years, trying to please an audience that doesn't care about you. The good news? You can stop the play. You can walk off the stage. But you have to do it now, before the concrete sets. Before the comfort becomes a prison, you can't escape. If you give me 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how to stop wasting your 20s on a life that doesn't belong to you. Let's dismantle the biggest lie you've been sold, the lie of linear progression. From the moment you entered the school system, you were trained to view life as a ladder. First grade leads to second grade. High school leads to university. University leads to an internship. The internship leads to a junior, associate position. The junior position leads to senior, then manager, then director, then death. It is a straight line. It is predictable. It is safe. And because you are smart, and because you crave validation, you got really good at climbing ladders. You became addicted to the next gold star. You need the next promotion to feel okay about yourself. You need the next title to prove you exist. But here's the problem with ladders. They only go up and down. They don't go sideways. They don't explore the forest. They just take you higher into the thin air where it's hard to breathe. You think you are choosing this path because it's smart or responsible. But let's be brutally honest. You are choosing it because you are afraid. You are suffering from a disease of mimetic desire. This is a fancy way of saying that you want things only because other people want them. You want the job at the big tech company or the law firm, not because you love the work, but because your peers covet it. You are competing in a tournament where the prize is a life you hate. We live in a society that fetishizes certainty. Your parents, God bless them, they want you to be safe. They want you to have health insurance and a pension. They grew up in a different world, a world where loyalty was rewarded. But that world is gone. We are living in the ruins of that world, but we are still following its rules. When you try to build a safe life in your 20s, you are actually taking the biggest risk of all. You are betting your entire existence on the idea that future you will be happy with the choices made by present you, who is, frankly, an ignorant coward. You are locking yourself into a mortgage, a career path, and an identity before you have even figured out who you are. You are putting on a costume that is 3 sizes too small, and then you wonder why you can't breathe. You tell yourself, I'll do this for a few years, save some money, and then I'll do what I really want. That is the single most dangerous sentence in the English language, because then never comes. The lifestyle creeps up. The golden handcuffs get tighter. You get used to the expensive wine and the nice car. And suddenly, you are 35. You are miserable. But You are too expensive to quit. I remember the precise moment I realized I was digging my own grave with a silver spoon. I was 24 years old. I had landed a dream job at a massive advertising agency in São Paulo. It was the kind of place with exposed brick walls, free beer on Fridays, and people who used words like synergy and disruption without laughing. I was sitting in a meeting room with glass walls overlooking the city skyline. It was a beautiful view. Inside the room, we were discussing the brand strategy for a mayonnaise company. There were 6 of us, smart, educated, vibrant young people, spending 3 hours debating whether the mayonnaise should be positioned as family fun or culinary adventurous. I looked around the table. There was the creative director, a guy in his 40s wearing a t-shirt that cost more than my rent. He looked exhausted. He had dark circles under his eyes that no amount of expensive moisturizer could hide. He was on his 2nd divorce. He was checking his phone every 30 seconds. There was the account manager, a woman who smiled so much it looked painful. She was constantly apologizing for things that weren't her fault. And then there was me. I caught my reflection in the glass wall. I was wearing a shirt I didn't like, nodding at a point I didn't agree with, trying to impress people I didn't respect. A cold shiver went down my spine. It wasn't anxiety, it was clarity. I looked at the creative director, my future, and I felt a wave of nausea. I realized that if I succeeded, if I won this game, if I worked 14 hours a day for the next 10 years and beat everyone else, I would become him. That was the prize. The prize for winning the pie-eating contest was just more pie. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and put my forehead against the cold tile. I had this overwhelming urge to scream. I had spent 4 years in university, thousands of dollars, and countless sleepless nights to get a seat at a table where we talked about mayonnaise, while our souls slowly evaporated. I didn't quit that day. I wasn't that brave yet. But something broke inside me. The illusion that success would save me was shattered. I realized that I was climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall, and the higher I climbed, the harder it would be to jump off. To understand why we do this to ourselves, why we voluntarily walk into these prisons, we need to look at the French existentialists, specifically Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre had this concept called bad faith, mauvaise foi. It's one of the most slapping you in the face ideas in philosophy. Bad faith is when you lie to yourself to avoid the terrifying responsibility of your own freedom. Sartre gives this famous example of a waiter in a cafe. You watch this waiter. His movement is a little too precise, a little too rapid. He comes toward the patrons with a step a little too eager. His voice is a little too solicitous. He is playing at being a waiter. He is trying to merge completely with his role, to become an object, a waiter thing, so he doesn't have to deal with the fact that he is actually a free human being who could, at any moment, throw the tray on the floor and walk out. We do this. You are doing this. You are playing the role of the young professional. You adopt the jargon. You wear the uniform, whether it's a suit or the casual creative hoodie. You adopt the opinions of your tribe. You tell yourself, I have to do this. I have bills to pay. I have no choice. Sartre would look at you with his lazy eye and say, you are a liar. You always have a choice. You are condemned to be free. The reason you cling to the script, the reason you stay in the job you hate, or the relationship that bores you, is because the alternative is anguish. Anguish is what you feel when you realize that you are the only author of your life. There is no God, no destiny, no parents, no boss who is truly in charge. It's just you standing at the edge of a cliff. That dizziness you feel? Kierkegaard called it the dizziness of freedom. So to avoid that dizziness, you run back to the cage. You pretend you are a robot. You pretend you are an object with a fixed function. I am an accountant, you say, as if that explains your entire existence. No, you are a consciousness that chooses to do accounting. The moment you forget that distinction is the moment you start dying. In the past, history gave us scripts. If you were born a peasant in 1300, you were a peasant. You didn't have an identity crisis, you had a survival crisis. Today, you have infinite options, which leads to paralysis. So you voluntarily put on the chains of the peasant, the 9 to 5, the debt, the social expectations. Because being a slave with a master is less terrifying than being a master with no map. If the map you were given is fake, how do you navigate? You need a new set of rules for your 20s. This is the hidden manual that no university professor will teach you because they are too busy protecting their tenure. Rule number 1. Your 20s are for data collection, not asset accumulation. Society tells you that your 20s are for building a foundation. They mean buying a house, saving for retirement, climbing the first rungs. This is insane. Your 20s should be a period of high volatility experimentation. You should be optimizing for learning, not earning. If you spend your 20s mitigating risk, you will arrive in your 30s with a very safe, very small life and zero knowledge of what you are actually capable of. You need to crash. You need to get fired. You need to move to a city where you don't speak the language. You need to start a business and watch it fail. This isn't failure, it is data. You are mapping the territory of your own psyche. Rule number 2, run towards the fear. If a choice feels safe, it is probably a trap. If a choice makes you feel a little bit sick, a little bit terrified, but also weirdly excited, that is your compass. That physical sensation of, I might look stupid if I do this, is the signal that you are about to grow. The wrong life is built entirely on the avoidance of embarrassment. The right life is built on the willingness to look like an idiot in the service of finding the truth. Rule number 3. Beware of the deferred life plan. This is the lie that says, I will suffer now, so I can live later. I'll grind in investment banking for 10 years, and then I'll write my novel. Here is the physics of the soul. How you spend your days is how you spend your life. If you spend 10 years training yourself to be a stress-addicted, validation-seeking workaholic, you will not magically turn into a relaxed artist the day you quit. You will just be a rich, anxious workaholic with a lot of free time that you don't know how to use. You cannot delay being the person you want to be. Rule number 4. Disappoint your parents early. This sounds harsh, but it is necessary. Your parents love you, but their advice is usually based on fear and outdated economic models. If you spend your 20s trying to make them happy, you will resent them in your 30s. The sooner you make a decision they don't understand, and you survive it and you thrive, the sooner the dynamic shifts from parent-child to adult-adult. You must assert your sovereignty. Okay, you say. This is great philosophy, but I have rent to pay. I can't just quit my job and go live in a yurt. I am not asking you to be reckless. I am asking you to be strategic. Here is how you practically apply this before it's too late. 1. Conduct life pilots. Stop thinking you need to commit to a career. Think in terms of 3 to 6 month pilots. Want to be a writer? Don't quit your job yet. Wake up at 5 a.m. and write for 2 hours every day for 3 months. See if you actually love the process, or if you just love the fantasy of being a writer. Most people love the noun, not the verb. Test the verb. 2. Lower your overhead. The year's biggest enemy of your freedom is your cost of living. If you need $5,000 a month just to survive, you are a slave to whoever pays you that $5,000. If you can live on $2,000, you have options. Drive a crappy car. Have roommates. Cook your own food. Every dollar you don't spend is a vote for your own autonomy. Financial success in your 20s isn't a high income. It's a high savings rate and low fixed costs. That is your FU money. 3. Curate your circle. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they talking about ideas, or are they talking about other people? Are they excited about the future, or are they complaining about their bosses? Emotional states are contagious. If you hang out with people who are sleepwalking, you will start snoring too. You need to find people who are also trying to wake up, even if it's just one person. hold on to them for dear life. 4. The Regret Minimization Framework. This is from Jeff Bezos of all people, but it works. When you are making a decision, project yourself to age 80. Will 80-year-old you regret trying this and failing? Or will 80-year-old you regret never trying at all? Usually we regret the things we didn't do, not the things we did that went wrong. The safe path is actually the path of maximum future regret. I want to leave you with a thought that might seem morbid, but is actually the most liberating thing you can ever hear. You are going to die. I don't mean that in a metaphorical way. I mean that your heart has a limited number of beats left. One day, you will be a skeleton in the ground, and nobody will care that you were a senior vice president of operations. Nobody will care that you had a consistent resume. Nobody will care that you never embarrassed yourself. The universe is billions of years old, and it does not give a damn about your quarterly goals. This sounds depressing, but it is actually the key to the cage. If nothing ultimately matters in the grand cosmic sense, then you are free. You are free to make mistakes. You are free to change your mind. You are free to disappoint people. You are free to walk away from a life that feels wrong, even if everyone else tells you it's right. The wrong life is the life where you pretend to be immortal, where you act as if you have infinite time to eventually get around to being happy. The right life is the one where you realize you are on the clock. So, look at your life today. Look at the script in your hands. Is it your handwriting? Or is it a photocopy of what someone else told you to be? You have the matches in your pocket. Strike one. Light the fire. Burn the script. It will be scary. It will be messy. You might feel lost for a while, but I promise you, being lost in your own life is infinitely better than being found in someone else's. The world doesn't need another obedient sheep. It needs you, the real you, the messy you, the alive you. So, are you going to keep acting, or are you finally going to start the show? Wake up.